My boyfriend is a passport bro, and I had no idea. I'm 22 female. My boyfriend is 22 male. I've been with my boyfriend for 8 months. Things have been going really well between us up until a few days ago. Little backstory. I'm from a Central European country, and he's American. He said he settled in my country because of work opportunities. We met in a coffee house where I work as a barista. We clicked instantly and started going out a few weeks later. Everything was so good, and we had so much fun. He asked me to help him with some documentation. I was happy too, as I know my language is hard to understand and even translate sometimes. When I was searching online on his laptop, I stumbled upon some weird websites. They were all about passport bros. I didn't even know what the hell that was at first, and basically had tips on how to settle in foreign countries, where to find a traditional bride, which country has the most beautiful women, etc. I was shocked and so confused. I know I shouldn't have done it, but I wanted to gain some clarity. And checked his profile on one of these websites. He had full-on conversations about Eastern European countries, European women, how easy or hard it is to take them out on dates, if it would be better to settle down in Asia instead, and so on. He decided to settle down in my country. I feel dehumanised and like he fetishized me and the women from my country. Also, our whole relationship has been built on a lie because he told me he settled down here because he got a job offer. After I found all this stuff, I quickly took a few pictures as proof and then made up an excuse to come home. He tried to reach out a few times, but I told him I don't feel well, so I can't meet up right now. I can't even look at him. I feel so disgusted. Am I overreacting? How can I confront him about all this? Here are some of the top comments. If you guys live separately, I'd just text him the pictures and inform him you don't plan on being his docile Euro. Wife then let him know that one thing European women and American women have in common is none of them are going to settle for a weirdo. I'd actually not even recommend showing him the proof. Then he'll just know to hide it better from the next girl. Edit loves to think relationships need a big finale or a dramatic gotcha. Pete discovered his play and needs to just break up and separate without a word. Another comment says, I would just exit the relationship. You're both young and you have time to find someone who will respect you. My understanding is passport bros want submissive women who do all the labour and likely still contribute 50% financially. It's a lose-win situation for you. I agree with this. Pay do him a favour and don't describe why you're breaking it off. If you do it at all, it's just going to make him hide it better. He's clearly motivated enough to move to a new city to objectify women. Also, passport bros is even worse than that. A lot of them do want a traditional wife in all the toxic ways, but they also obsessed with sex tourism too. Update. Wanted to come on here and reply to a few things. And give a little update. I had no idea the last post was going to blow up so quickly and get so many comments. For this reason, I didn't go into too many details in my last post, so here they are. When I read his comments on those websites, it felt dehumanising and fetishizing. They were making stereotypes about us that are either untrue or outdated. We have all kinds of women here, just like in other countries. Some like to party, some don't. Some are looking for flings, some want long-term relationships, and some want to stay single and childless forever. It's not true that most of us are submissive women who obey our husbands. Try telling that to a Central European woman face to face and see her reaction. He told me he only came for work. And it's funny we met because he wasn't planning on getting into a relationship. Judging by his comments online, it was a lie and he came here to look for a traditional wife. Surprisingly, he never actually told me that he wanted a traditional relationship. He doesn't do anything that's considered traditional in my culture either. I work hard for my own money and go to university, so I don't want to be a housewife or stay-at-home mum in the near future. We've talked about this so he knows. What worries me is that someone online told him to start a relationship and then try to make it more traditional over time. I don't know if that's what he's trying to do or if he's changed his mind. I have no way of knowing and don't want to take the risk of wasting my time. He works at an ed company, allegedly. I've never been to his workplace, so I have no proof of this. It might be my naivety to think it's true, but we have a lot of companies like this in my country and a lot of foreigners work in it in the capital city, so who knows? Traditional woman and traditional relationship. can mean different things in different countries depending on culture and social norms. He wants a traditional woman by American standards, but that's not the same as what we consider a traditional woman here. It's pretty clear from his online comments that he has no clue about this difference. It's offensive because it shows he knows nothing about our culture and history and is just relying on stereotypes and outdated assumptions. Some people in the comments try to justify his desire for a traditional wife, stating that European women should be happy and understanding about this. But what does he bring to the table? Why should a traditional Central European woman choose him instead of a man from our country who speaks our language, knows our customs and traditions, grew up in our culture and respects us according to our standards? To imply that I should be grateful that an American man chose me like I'm some product is offensive and makes me look like I'm inferior. Very weird logic. Some people commented that my post was rage bait or fake because of my English or because Central European women won't think like this. This just proves the ignorance some people have about my country. Women here have careers, open their own businesses, or learn to become doctors, lawyers, beauticians, chefs, etc. Most of us in the younger generations have modern mentalities except for some villagers, but villagers probably won't go for an American man who doesn't know a thing about our country. Most of us learn a second language. Since we are 6-8 years old, my niece literally goes to a bilingual kindergarten and learns 2 languages at the age of 3. So I'm not sure why it's so far-fetched that people here speak English well. We are not some idiots who have no idea about the modern world. Most of us speak at least 1 or 2 foreign languages, usually English and German, sometimes Spanish, except the boomers and Gen X. They had to learn Russian back in the day. I also use an app to double-check my grammar. P guilty as charged. And to the person who said that Central European countries are basically the same as England or France. It sounds like someone failed their history class. Please don't be ignorant and educate yourself. We told my boyfriend now that I'd like to break up with him. We had a small conversation on the phone and I told him I wasn't in a position to continue the relationship for personal reasons. At first he was confused and tried to convince me not to break up, but then he accepted it. The comments that suggested it, thank you for the idea. I posted my story in the local group so other women can be aware of this whole passport bro thing and hopefully not fall victim to men like this. As expected, they found the whole thing disgusting and were grateful for the heads up. We are not here for others' enjoyment and to fulfill some submissive wife fantasy of someone who looks at us as stereotypes rather than individuals with varying personalities and preferences. I'm not against foreigners or mixed couples. My brother-in-law is Arab, speaks my language and knows my culture. We also speak some Arabic and know and respect his culture too. He didn't come here as a sex tourist, but as an actual worker who wanted to change his life. If you go to a country, go because you're interested in it and want to learn about a new culture, or have some great opportunities, not because you want to desperately lie to women just so you can get into a relationship or get some sex. We can't speak for everyone in my country, but most people won't tolerate this behaviour and will judge passport bros negatively. It's hypocritical to want a traditional wife but constantly move from country to country and woman to woman. And that behaviour definitely isn't considered traditional, at least not in my country here. If you want casual relationships, that's fine, because there are women here who want the same, but just be honest about it. Thank you again for all the comments, explanations and advice. They were eye-opening and really helpful. Even though I'm disappointed and feel a bit used, I'm grateful that I know the whole truth now. We live and we learn. I guess I mistakenly accused boyfriend of cheating on me. He says he wants to break up. I'm 22 female. My boyfriend is 22 male. I have been in a relationship with my boyfriend for 2 years. Never had any real problems until now. He moved to a new job about 4 months ago and is being mentored into the job by a senior female employee. She calls him after work hours too to make sure that the work is on schedule and to inform him of various responsibilities of the next day. I have been okay with all this, until one day she called him around bedtime and asked him if he could pick her up in the morning because of some problems with her car. I found this unnecessary and told him to not do it. He said it was okay for one day and did pick her up in the morning. He argued with him in the evening and told him that I find her calling him outside of work to be uncomfortable. He rejected that and said she only says things about work, and as she mentors him, he cannot just ask her to not call anymore. This has been going on for some time. But the breaking point came yesterday. One of my friends called me yesterday at noon and told me that she saw my boyfriend eating lunch in a restaurant with another woman. She described the woman and I was sure that it was the mentor. In my mind, I was almost sure that it was nothing but still when he came home. I exploded and screamed at him and accused him of cheating on me with her. I shouted over him for a good 30 minutes. When I calmed down, he looked livid and showed me a photo on his phone. It was a selfie of him and several of his colleagues having lunch, and it was just that he and the mentor took a smaller single table by the side of the extended one. I apologised a lot, but he said that he doesn't feel comfortable that I'm getting insecure over him working with a woman. Today morning, he told me that he needed some space and went to his friend's house. He is not taking my calls anymore, and I want to go to his friend's house to talk to him. How can I convince him that I know that I went overboard with my reaction? Until dear mistakenly accused BF cheating on me with a colleague. He is now wanting to break up with me. So for not replying to the comments, I was distraught and the opinions are understandably against me. I understand from reading many of them that I might have BTD still to be diagnosed. I am planning to go to therapy and counselling. I have sent him a message saying this and that he can take as much time as he wants and that I would completely understand if he wants to break up. As for people asking why I screamed at him when I didn't think there was a problem, I really don't know. At that moment, I couldn't control myself and all the irritation I felt from her spending time with him must have come out. I will update whatever that happens when he decides to talk to me. Some of you have asked why the mentoring is continuing after 4 months. I can't say what his job is, but I know that the mentoring period for his job is 6 months.
Told my wife that she couldn't do it without me. Turns out she can. I am 34 male and my wife is 35 female. I made one stupid selfish comment to my wife a week or so ago, and now my life is in disarray. My wife is in some crisis. Her work is closed and she's being paid, but she's home with our kids now, including one 3-year-old. She gets breaks on Monday and Friday with childcare. We went into having kids knowing she wanted to be a working mother. So this has been an adjustment to say the least. On to the OG fight. She spent a long day with our kids and the neighboring kids, and when I came upstairs from work and she asked for a break, I didn't respond well. I made excuses and didn't offer help, and for the first time in years, my wife lost her temper and cursed at me. Like an idiot, I dug in and thought I was right. I admit we both said some unkind things. But after Reddit humbled me, and she made me sit down and write a list of things I did for the family that day and compared it with her. Longer list, I apologized. She accepted and I figured things would go back to normal. They haven't. My wife used to include me in parenting our kids. I did dance pickup most weeks and bedtime was split. I gave baths, made dinner, all the stuff. Since our fight, my wife hasn't asked me for any help with the kids. Yeah, first morning I woke up on what was supposed to be my morning with the kids. I figured she was just being nice or trying to prove a point, but it keeps happening. She didn't even send them down to say goodnight last night. Normally my wife does this silly game where she sends my son to ask me to read 5 books, and then we would negotiate down to 1 or 2 and race upstairs. Last night I heard her racing him and came up to find her doing bedtime yet again. Now that the kids haven't even noticed, it's like she's replacing me. When we were fighting, I said something really, really dumb that's living inside me and festering. My wife was being nasty and said, "You wouldn't see the kids a quarter as much as you do if I didn't arrange it, and I'm done managing you." I defended myself, not an absent parent, and said something along the lines of, "I'd like to see how long you can manage without me. Consider my foot officially in my mouth." She started running again. She's cooking really healthy and often. Every night I come home to my perfectly happy Stepford wife doing it all without me, and I feel empty inside. How do I fix this? I don't even know where to begin at this point. I want to beg her to go back to how things were. This wasn't what we agreed on. Fuck guys, I get it. I'm a piece of shit. I'm going to make this right. Featured a handful of people. They reached out with advice. Believe it or not, I do want to be a good father and husband. I've royally fucked up, and I see that and fully admit it. This is going to be my only edit, and then I'm going to get off my phone for a while and focus my attention on my family. My wife had dinner cooked when I got home. Everything is fine between us, so there wasn't any tension. So after we cleaned up, I went upstairs and ran my wife a bath, put Taylor Swift on her Alexa, and lit a few candles. I told her to go relax upstairs for the night. She was surprised but smiled and went on her way. I'm currently on the toilet watching my kids take a bath. People mention love bombing, etc., but I'm just trying anything I can to show her I do appreciate and love her and her family, and I want to be a present father. I'm going to do bedtime tonight and probably all next week. I'll tell her she does so much during the day and deserves the break because it's the truth. I get that I come off as an asshole. I grew up in a not great situation and didn't have the best role models growing up. I'm terrified of my children not having enough, and I overcompensate by working too much. This new job came with a big pay increase, but the hours are longer and I feel like I can never keep up. I've reached out to a few recruiters tonight. I used to love my job and was always home by 30. Even if it means taking the lost income, I'm thinking about going back. Relationships are hard and humans aren't perfect. For all the people telling me my kids don't love me and I'm a waste of space, I'd key guys, just remember I'm the actual person. That shit's rough. Anyways, that's all I have for you folks. I need to watch these kiddos and start planning out my long road of groveling and reconnecting. Thanks all.
My husband has thrown me under the bus to his family with his silence and complete lack of a spine. How do I salvage this? I'm 27 female and my husband is 39 male. My husband Owen and I have been trying for a baby for years with no luck. I would be happy to adopt, but Owen's family is against it and has influenced my husband to also be against it. After our second year of trying, I begged my husband to go with me to get a checkup to see if either of us or both of us is infertile. He was strongly opposed to this as all the men in his family are extremely fertile, but eventually gave in, and as it turns out his sperm count is extremely low. He was heartbroken, as was I, and we both got therapy. After a year of no longer trying, I got pregnant but lost the baby. And we were devastated. Owen blamed himself and proposed that we start the process of getting into a family planning centre for a sperm donor, which I agreed to. He asked me that we not tell either of our families about this or our friends, and I agreed because I would never want to escalate him. With the help of our donor, I was able to successfully become pregnant, and we had our little girl last year. She is healthy and progressing amazingly, and I thank God for her every day. I kept my promise and never told anyone. However, Owen is struggling with connecting with our little girl. Here is where the trouble begins. Last month, when he went out of town with his brothers for their friend's bachelor party, while on the trip, Owen told his brothers about our infertility issues and that our baby wasn't biologically his. One of his brothers must have told his wife, who told my husband's mother. I don't know why she would tell my husband's mother, except that she has never liked me. Their mother then came to our house and called me a lying. Lauren tried to get my husband to leave with her. He just stood there silent. I told her that it was Owen's decision not to tell anyone. And she asked him if this was true again. He was silent, which his mother took as me being the liar. She then went to our nursery and started taking everything she'd ever given us for the baby back. I told her I didn't care about it. And I made more than enough to buy everything she gave us myself and better quality. This set her off, and she called my baby a filthy bastard when she said that I did something I know was harsh, but I believe she deserved it. I physically pushed her out the door. I didn't hit her, but I did put my hands on her shoulders, pushing her out the door, and threw all her shitty things out with her. After spirits had calmed down, I realised my husband had said nothing when his mother was berating me, calling me a liar, and when she called our child a filthy bastard. So I asked him why he was silent. He said he wasn't raised to be disrespectful the way I was, and that his mother hadn't said anything that wasn't true. She was just hurtful with what she'd said, and that we should let it go and wait for his mother. Forgive us. I told him that I would never let it go, that his mother and anyone who agreed with her was not welcomed in our home, and that I don't need to be forgiven when I've done nothing wrong. He then said the house was his, and as the head of the family, it was his decision. I told fine, but why did he allow her to call me a liar? And who of those things are not true in our child? No child really should be called a bastard. He just repeated he would not argue with his mother. After that, I stopped speaking to him and started gathering up my daughter's things and purse, and walked out the door with her. He tried to stop me and told me I couldn't take his daughter anywhere without him, and I lost the little bit of composure I had left. I told him she wasn't his daughter. He'd proved he didn't see her as his daughter when he'd allowed his mother to call her a filthy bastard and told him she wasn't his. He broke down into tears and begged me to come back inside, but at the time I felt nothing. He looked pathetic to me. I've taken my baby with me and gone back home to my parents, and finally told my family the truth, which feels so good. They are completely in support of my decision, and are not allowing my spineless husband anywhere near us, as he still refuses to apologise to me or set the record straight with his family. However, I told the sister-in-law that I was close to the truth, and she told the rest of his family. Half of his family is understanding while the other side is on his mother's side. But they all are mad at my husband. I need time to cool down, but I know eventually my husband and I need to figure our marriage out. One thing is for certain, I will not return to his house until he apologises to me and promises to protect me and his daughter fiercely. I want to see this in action form, starting with him telling his mother what she did was wrong and banning her from coming to see us until she asks for my forgiveness. We were also planning on having more children, as he wants a big family, but that is off the table as I don't believe he is ready and we both need to get back into therapy.
My partner's in a coma. She won't be waking up. She is everything to me. We spent 24/7 together. She had everything figured out. She was the smartest woman I've seen, 4 degrees in 4 different careers. She was finishing law school. We were trying to get pregnant, and all of a sudden she got a stroke 30 days ago. Took her to the hospital. They helped her. An hour or so later, she was doing fine, talking to the doctor, laughing like she always did. Then she got a massive brain hemorrhage. They put her in a induced coma, and she's been like that. They told us she won't be coming back the same way, and they don't even know if she's coming back at all. Things don't look good, and I miss her. I miss her so badly. I can't focus. I can't do my work. I can't live my life without her. We talk for hours, always. Hours, man. Hours. 2 in the morning, and she would roll over and say, want to go for some ice cream? Yes. Want to go tomorrow for coffee? Yes. Can I brunch on the balcony? Yes. Want to go help me sell my used books? Yes. Want to go for a walk, look at buildings, then maybe for coffee? Yes, everything. She is the love of my life. She said, I want my children to have your face. I am not a good-looking guy. She was an angel to me. I would take my own life in a moment, burn my soul in hell, if that would make her wake up and all this go away. There's no price I would not pay for her to be okay again. No price. 2 months into the relationship, and we made a trip. We got to the hotel, and she wrote fiance on the guest book. Second day we meet, she told me I love you. That was the first time someone told me I love you. I'm 40. I'm not a good-looking guy, and here an angel comes and says I love you. Now she's on a hospital bed with wires in her brain, draining fluid with part of her brain with necrosis, and the doctors tell me she can't breathe on her own. She may never will without a machine's assistance. I love you. Love, like I told you every night for the 2 years we got to know each other. I love you forever. To the end of times, to the end of my life. An old friend took me out today for a walk. She and I went out a few times. She's never really interested in having a relationship with me. So I said, let's stay friends. And we did. She has 2 children. She told me come over to the playground with us. Keep your mind off things. For a while, I accepted. Here I was, walking down the street with her and her 2 children, and I felt for a brief passing moment what would have been to be with the love of my life and our own 2 children. It felt good. I felt pride. Then the moment passed. These weren't ours, and my love wasn't there. It was just me, an imposter, walking without a heart. My love wanted to have 2 children. She told me she dreamed about us having 2. Nicholas and Amelia. I will never get to meet Nicholas or Amelia. I will never walk down the street with her and our 2 kids. I will never get to experience being a father. I will never see her smile again. I will never hear her laugh. Never again for the rest of my life. All I've got is pain, loneliness, and anger. So much anger I would punch the gods in their faces. So much anger I would open my own chest open and rip my own heart out. Death's kiss gets mistaken for love since she's not here. It's hard, man. It's damn hard. We were about to get married this year. Me married, I've worked my whole life. That's the only thing I've done, work. She worked her whole life as well. We found each other. We were both looking forward to live the rest of our lives together. I was about to stuff the wedding ring inside a plush duck. She would have loved that detail. I made a path of roses for once. She loved it. And she used to call me husband in front of people. I called her wife in return. My wife, I will never get to be your husband now, and she will never get to be my wife. I love you, my love. Come back, please. I'm lost. Update. People contacted me, told me they wanted more stories about her. She works at a hospital lab. Actually, she works at 2 hospitals. One is her official position, which she hates and wants to quit, but it pays her bills. The other one she simply covers for someone else. His second job pays almost nothing. It is sort of a token payment. She does that one because it is a children's hospital, and she detects cancer. She wants to make sure nothing gets missed because the earlier you catch cancer, the more chances you can give a child. Once I went to pick her up after her shift. It was the middle of the night. She came out, gave me a big smile, stuck her hand inside her purse, and next thing I know, she takes out a slice of pizza. It was still hot. And even more surprising, it was a square slice. She asked for 1 extra for me and smuggled it out in her purse. I ate it on the spot. It was delicious, and I couldn't stop laughing while I ate it. She quacks, yes, like a duck. She sometimes puts her arms out in a T-pose and dances while going on an electric escalator, quacking like a duck out loud, very loud. But with a rhythm, doing a little song. Passes looks up on electric escalators and waves at me in the roof mirror with a big smile. So she forced me to eat vegetables and fruit on a daily basis. She also taught me to eat with a fork and knife properly. I learned to LA cowboy by watching Working Men at the Table. So it was half using my hands, half using the fork and knife in a very self-taught manner. Picture an ape using a knife and fork to a job gets done, but with the grace of a pirate. She told me that if we wanted to have children, the best way to teach them is by example, and dad needs to know how to eat properly at the table, and that if dad doesn't eat fruits and vegetables, no, the children won't want either. She made an excellent point. For both 40. Once, she grabbed my hand and ran under a bridge with me while giggling like a little girl. She stopped us in the middle of the bridge, away from the world, pushed me against a door, and kissed my soul, okay? I go under that bridge every day I go to see her. So on the way, so I can still feel her lips. It doesn't matter if I close my eyes, not to see when the bridge comes. Somehow my body knows. I cry every time. Sometimes the drivers ask me if I am okay. I tell them the truth, I'm not. I used to have a Harry Potter scarf. I didn't know it was a franchise thing. I only bought it because it is hypoallergenic. I thought the colors were from a soccer team or something. I couldn't care less, turns out. Every girl in town would smile at me, tried to small talk about Team Gryffindor. She grabbed me a arm and pulled me inside a store, got me a white scarf. I have a beard, and every time I use it, half of that damn scarf ends up on my beard. Anyways, it took me weeks to figure out she did it because she was jealous of girls talking to me. He opened doors for her. I pulled chairs out for her to sit. I take her coat. I help her put on her coat. I have these traditional gentleman's ways. She loved it. She puts on my scarf for me. Old couples look at us and smile to themselves. Sometimes they even kiss, and you can tell they haven't kissed in years. Update 2. Sadly, it is all true. I forgot this was the internet for a moment. A couple of trolls appeared out of nowhere, and my chat doesn't bother me because people have been, for the most part, respectful and kind, so that is what really matters. Some people are saying this is creative writing, because in the past I've done writing. I get that the internet is a crappy place and people always expect the worst out of everything. But sadly, no, this is not my creative writing. It is hell and is happening to her, not to me. That is something I need to keep reminding myself. She's the one on the hospital bed. I'm going through hell out here, sure, but she's the one suffering the most, and that I have to remain strong for when she comes out of the hospital. I just don't know how sometimes. And it's sort of come like waves of emotions I still can't control. I am okay one moment. The next, something reminds me of her, and I began to sob like a kid in front of anyone. He began therapy, and he wants to give me pills. But my wife always told me these were the worst because she used to take them in the past. She told me they create addiction, and that life gets seen as if through a glass somehow. I also think numbing this pain down with medication would be not honoring her love. But then again, I might be romanticizing my own pain, and that would be preventing me from handling the situation. I end up overwhelmed by emotions and talking to people on taxes, on case, etc. I never talk to people. All I want is to tell everyone what happened to her. Maybe I'm trying to get help for her because I feel so frustrated, so alone, so miserable, so helpless. Can't help her. That's the most terrible part. I can't do anything to help her. there's nothing I can do. Not a damn thing. I just have to sit and wait. And it's driving me nuts. Again, thank you everyone who sent good wishes. Just wanted it off my chest, and I